What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. We're flying solo this evening as Tim's on assignment. Let's say that, trying to sound all professional. And Emilio's out to dinner, so they may hop in here a little later. But as of right now, we're going to be flying solo. So you're stuck with me this evening, all right? And we're just going to kind of talk a little more in depth about the recap of the Packers-Lions game that just concluded last night as the Lions got the big win there. Was it 24-14? We'll hit on some key things from that. We've got Chalk Talk queued up for tomorrow. I almost did it tonight, but I know the guys will be mad at me if I leave them out of that, so we'll definitely hold it off till tomorrow. I know we got people filing in here starting a little early this evening. I thought since I'm not waiting on them, we'll just go ahead and get cranked up. But let's do this first things first. Let's give a quick shout out to the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since '92, specializing in Packers tickets. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Just click on the link in the video description that'll send you to theticketking.com where you can register for free as a customer and go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. All right, so as we get cranked up here, I know everybody's filing into the chat, probably wondering why we went live a little early. There you go, two over this. Got it. You're early tonight. It's not Christmas yet. Hey, it's Christmas here at the house, man. As I'm speaking right now, Mandy is tearing down everything Halloween, and the Christmas stuff's already going up, man. We are those people. If you don't like it, I apologize. It is what it is. But let's see here in the chat. Andres was the first one in here. It says Packers are going to be better after the bye week. I'm not worried. I completely agree, Andres. You guys have probably caught on the way I fan. I don't freak out over losses like last night. Did it suck? Yeah. Did I want to win? Absolutely. But the reality is nobody was expecting you to win. Nobody was giving you a chance. The part that sucks, and I completely understand where people are coming from, is how the Packers kind of they had a shot to win it, right? And you get a shot every week, but the way you lose that game is the toughest part. You know, the pick six obviously reduces pretty much, I don't want to say any chances, but it made it very, very, very difficult for the Packers to win that game. You guys know I talk all the time about turnover differential in middle late. Actually heard Coach Belichick on the McAfee show earlier today, talking about the middle late again, right? It's something that he thinks is very important. It's about controlling the momentum of the game, all that. And when you lose the middle late and the turnover differential on one play, going to be tough. And you can see the Detroit Lions game plan was simply to play under control, to not give the ball away, right? It was almost like they came out and was like, you know what? We're not worried about scoring a ton of points. We're just going to control this game, make sure we minimize our mistakes, and let's let the younger Packer team make the mistakes, right? And that's essentially what happened. But at the end of the day, you seen fight in the second half. If you don't throw that pick six and you clean up the penalties, it's a whole different ballgame. I came away kind of feeling like Elton Jenkins did. I don't know if you guys seen Elton Jenkins' quote, but it was something along the lines of tonight the better team didn't win. It's just the team that executed it. And I know some people roll their eyes at that, and I can respect that. But I really do agree with what he said there. You know, let's put it this way. If the penalties were completely flipped, right, and how crucial the penalties were at those moments, and you don't throw that pick six, Packers win this game. I really believe that. There was an opportunity, you know, obviously the drop passes were an issue as well, the big issue. And that's been an issue for a while. And you know, we love to rave over the young wide receiver core that the Packers have. And I think it's just, right? Like you should be raving over them. I think they are an excellent group. But at the same time, there's a reason receivers fall to the later rounds, right? And Christian Watson, you know, I remember I think it was Bob McGinn's scouting reports where he would talk to former scouts and they were kind of or maybe they were current scouts breaking down the scouting reports for some of these players. And Christian Watson was, I love everything about him. He just can't catch the football, right? So we can't be surprised that drops have been an issue. Now I'll say this about Christian Watson, man, that dude, his hands have really, really improved. You know, he made a hands catch last night in the pouring rain. Now, obviously, he misjudged a couple of balls, which the wind was swirling. You guys heard Tim talking about that. In the stands, it didn't feel that bad, but you could look on the field and see the wind kind of kicking around, swirling. And is it an excuse? Yeah, it's an excuse. But at the same time, if you just completely ignore the fact that those are factors in the game, I have more of a problem with the game plan itself and chucking the ball around the yard in those conditions because the running game was there, and Matt kind of got away from it. Now, if he hits on all these first down throws, I'm not even talking about it, right? I mean, I am. You guys know me. I will be talking about like, man, I'm glad he hit on him. But I mean, the reality was, if I could find it here, I know I've got it charted. I think it's on the back of this chart. The as far as first down passes, if I charted it correctly, and sometimes I might miss one or two. In the first half, we had 5 first down passes. What I mean by that, guys, is on first down, we threw the ball 5 times in the first half. We connected on 3 of those, and 2 of them fell incomplete. And the reason that's so important is when that ball falls incomplete on a 1st and 10, now you're looking at 2nd and 10, you're automatically behind schedule, right? And that's really what got us away from the running game, in my opinion. Now, you chose to pass on first down. There's no two ways about that. So that was a decision by Matt to say, hey, look, we're going to push the ball down the field. And then in the second half, listen, you got to take this one with kind of a grain of salt because you're playing from so far behind. You're going to be throwing on first down more, right? And that's the whole point of taking the ball. And we're going to hit the Patreon questions actually here in a second. And we've got some trade rumors too that we'll hit on too. But when you take the ball in the first half, before I say what I'm going to say here, I want you to understand I am team defer. I've always felt like you needed to defer to the second half, right? And it does a couple of different things for you. You know, first of all, you get a chance to double dip coming out of halftime. Like you go into halftime, if you can somehow put up 3 points, get the ball coming out of halftime, score on that opening drive, man, you're talking about flipping the momentum of the game. It's huge. But the other thing is, statistically, the team that scores first typically wins the ball game. So I can see where Matt's coming from an analytics standpoint of, all right, let's take the ball. If we go down and score, we got a better chance of winning the ball game because you're kind of now the other team's playing from behind, even though it's early. Now that comes down to different styles of coaching staffs and how aggressive they want to be just because they're losing. Some teams will stick with the run to the very end, and it's not really an issue. So I'm team defer. I'm just saying I'm trying to explain the thought process behind Matt LaFleur doing that. But in the second half, first down passes you had 9 first down passes in the second half. 5 of them fell incomplete. 4 were converted. Okay, so that's a big issue. Now in the second half, again, you're playing from behind. You're going to be throwing more on first down. I'm more upset with the first half first down throws because you would have plays where, like, you know, you heard Tom Brady talk about on the telecast, and I see people roasting Brady. I personally thought he did a hell of a job. I really did. I think from week 1 to now, he's gotten way better at calling the game. He's this wealth of knowledge. I mean, first of all, he's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. Greatest player, I don't know, but for me, it's all about championships. It really is. And I know some people like to get in the debate: is he better than? Is he the reason they won, or is it Belichick? We went to Tampa and won without Belichick. Yeah, he did it with a top 3 offense already put in place too. So it's kind of, you know, it is what it is. But he was talking about on second down, second and short, you don't have to try to force the ball, and Jordan almost threw an interception. Those are the things when I really break down Jordan's tape and I look at kind of scouting Jordan, go, okay, what does he need to do better? Where are the mistakes being made? It's situational awareness. And I kind of put a little bit of that on Matt too, because, you know, it's Matt's job to make sure the quarterback understands every situation. And at the same time, the people that are saying, look, he got $250 million, touche. You're right, man. You paid him like a top 3 quarterback in the league. You know, is he playing like one right now? Absolutely not. And it is amazing, though, how the people who always defend Goody, they won't even mention that, man, he shouldn't have paid Love. It's just Love is bad. He needs to play better. He needs to figure it out. It's kind of like, did you rush into that contract? Possibly. You guys know my opinion in the offseason as we close in on training camp, and then training camp, the holdout where Jordan was basically practicing behind the scenes. My stance was, as an organization, if you think Jordan Love is the guy, then you got to pay him, and you got to pay him now. The longer you wait, the price goes up, right? So it's obvious that they thought he was the guy, and unfortunately, you know, he's struggling right now. I think he can pull out of it because when I look at the mistakes, they're correctable mistakes. They really are. Like that pick 6, that can be coached out of him. You got to learn to throw that ball away. At the same time, I do not disagree, or I do not agree, I should say. I strongly disagree with the way we handled that going into halftime. Guys, when that ball was snapped, there was let me think here. Let me look at my chart. I think there was 32 seconds left. So you were looking at a 2nd and 2 from your own 38 with one timeout, I believe, if I remember correctly. And you decided 32 seconds is enough to go down and try to score. And I know in the past, when they've kneeled on the ball before halftime, fans lost their mind, right? That right there was the perfect example of why coaches kneel on the ball. And I know the rebuttal is, well, it's not LaFleur's fault that Jordan made a stupid mistake. Just throw the ball away. Or better yet, just take the sack, let the clock run down type thing. You're right. You're 100% right. At the same time, when you send a competitor out there and go, hey, look, we're going to call a shot play, and it was a shot play. It wasn't just a check down. People were looking at it like, was it just a small check down as good as a run trying to go to Josh Jacobs? Josh Jacobs was safe on that play. What I mean by that, he's safe. He was staying in the block. It just so happens he gets turned around as he's blocking, looks up, Jordan's in trouble, then tries to drift, and obviously, was it Kirby Joseph, I think's his name, was just waiting to pick it off. So with Jordan there, you got to know to throw it away, but at the same time, you're calling a shot play on 2nd and 2 with 32 seconds on your side of the field, getting ready to go into halftime where the other team's about to get the ball. Man, like if you were to draw up that entire game and go, okay, what's the one thing you can't do? You cannot throw a pick six with 32 seconds. I don't mean to laugh, but like that is the absolute worst thing you could do, man. So it is what it is, right? Again, it's I think that the Packers played a really bad game. Fundamentally, obviously the penalties were an issue. You don't have to have, two brain cells to rub together to figure out the penalties were a big problem. You were horrible with penalties. You turned the ball over. I think the play column was pretty damn bad, me personally, seeing that you got away from the run when your running backs were averaging, your running back one was averaging almost 9 yards a carry, your running back two was averaging 7 yards a carry, and you decide, hey, let's start winging it around a yard on first down in the monsoon. I'd love to sit here and go, LaFleur, but if you see it, you got to say it. I think if LaFleur had wanted, if he had it back, he would change things a little bit. That's just me personally. I'm wondering what the chat thinks about that. I'm going to kind of comb through here and see if we can find some chats here. Let's see. Greg Rice says, I want Clayton in my head talking about the positives after I have a bad day to cheer me up. There you go. I'm definitely known as the positive Packer fan. There's no two ways about that. I'm just not going to sit around and be miserable, man. I'm going to try to find the positives while we talk about the negatives as well, right? Coach Lynn says, we were dominated in my opinion. We can learn from this, though. At no point did I feel comfortable in this game. Yeah, and that's the thing is like when it was 10-3 and you're getting ready to go into halftime, I'm going, hey, look, man, this is one of the best teams in the league. And I'm just going to be completely upfront. I know there's some people that think the Lions are overrated. Guys, and golf's overrated. Golf is playing really, really good football. And I've seen people on Twitter saying, he's check down Charlie. And this, isn't it funny? They're calling him check down Charlie, but they're complaining about Jordan trying to take too many shots and be too aggressive. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta take everything into account there in that regard. I think they were dominated, Coach. Never at any point did I feel like we're going to win this game. But until the pick six, I was thinking, we're hanging. Look at this. All right, man. This is what I was hoping for. So I understand exactly what you're saying there. Badger Trio with the super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. Says, I'd be concerned if Love is the same as this next year. Yeah, I've bit my tongue several times talking about the whole Love thing, the Love contract. And listen, the reality is you're not going to get rid of him for 2 years unless the compensation's crazy. People are going, you're trading Jordan Love? That's not what I said. The people that want to talk about, is Jordan the guy of the future? I don't think it's even realistic. Let's say Jordan is the worst quarterback in the league. Let's just play along here for a second. Let's say he's the worst quarterback in the league, which I do not think he is. I think he is a top 10 quarterback. I think he's a top 5 quarterback when he's at his best. The problem is when he's at his worst, he's definitely in the bottom third, right? So probably on average somewhere in the middle, somewhere between 10 and 15. Let's say he's the worst quarterback in the league. And you're going to look up in 2 years and you could get out from under the contract, essentially. So you got Malik Willis for 2 years. It just so happens. So you could, if for some reason it went completely south, right? And what I mean by completely south, like Jordan is just a complete bust. If it turned out, and I don't think it's going to be that. I can't emphasize this enough. But if it did turn out to be that, and let's say he ended up getting benched next year, like what Badger Trio is just throwing out there. If it's the same as next year, hey, and I don't think that's a hot button comment there, Badger Trio. Like if he leads the league in interceptions this year and then comes out next year in the first half of the season, he's leading the league in interceptions again. I mean, I don't think it's unfair to say, no, you can't think about, benching him or replacing him. I don't think it'll happen. I really don't. I think they're going to come out of the bye week and they're going to be ready to roll. And I think Jordan's going to learn from these mistakes. He's still a young quarterback. That's what's crazy, right? But what I was getting at is, if you want to move on after 2 years, it's going to be a heavy cap penalty, but it's manageable. Until then, that's why it feels like, okay, we need to stick with this guy. Now, you guys know I was very vocal throughout the week that if he's 100%, yes, put Jordan out there. If he's 95%, don't put him out there. You got a bye coming up. It's going to be a downpour. Why risk any further injury type thing, right? So now if he goes out there and balls out, of course, I'm not going to be sitting here saying, hey, guys, remember what I said? Like I try to be honest in that regard with my opinions and go, hey, I screwed this up. I screwed that up. You hear me say all the time, I'm married. I'm wrong all the time, right? So I try to point out when I do miss the mark on stuff. But that whole Love thing, it just kind of felt like, hey, why not let him rest another week? And there's people saying, I don't think he was injured. Did you not see him like limping off the field after that throw across his body? Like, I don't understand that opinion, to be honest with you. I really don't. But anyway, Jason Y with the super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. He says, Reed is number 2 in drops for wide receivers in the NFL. Wicks is 4th. Kraft is 1st in tight end drops. It's a great point, Jason. And I can't remember who was on Twitter actually tweeted a picture out of the adjusted completion percentage for Jordan Love last night. It was like 74% or 76%. If his receivers caught all the balls thrown to him like Jared Goff's did, right? The problem is it has nothing to do with the pick six. You know what I mean? Like that's the big and that's what sucks because PFF graded him pretty well, which means they felt like he played pretty well. Other than the pick six, without the pick six, he's probably grading close to the 80s. Now, whether you like PFF or not, that's cool. I know there's things I don't like about it. I've been vocal about that. The pressures are killing me, guys. I'm just being honest. People are posting these false pressure numbers because PFF said this is a pressure, that's a pressure. And you have no evidence of like, okay, which plays did you think were the pressures? And here, let's rebuttal it and show you the plays that we think are pressures, right? And when you approach it that way, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it at all. It's like we got Emilio hopping here. What's up, Emilio?
What's going on?
So the pressures that I follow is Next Gen Stats because it's used by GP. It's used with GPS. Like someone said earlier today, I think I got it charted here. Someone asked, they tagged me in a tweet and said, "Hey man, so and so tweeted this out. Is this correct?" And it basically said that the entire Packer, or I think it was 4 pass rushers, had the same amount of pressures as 1 defender on the Lions. Is that true? And it wasn't true. All those pass rushers had way more pressures. So what you ended up with was Rashawn Gary had 2 pressures. Devontae Wyatt had 2 pressures. Obviously, Gary had the half sack. Kenny Clark, McDuffie, Cooper, Nixon, and Mosby all had pressures, and Mosby split that sack with Rashawn Gary. So, I don't know. The PFF stuff, it aggravates me because, like, Amelia, I know you've heard me rant over this a bunch of times. It's like you're not allowed to know what plays were pressures and what weren't. You just got to trust the website. And Next Gen Stats are going, hey, here's the pressures, right?
So, yeah. If you don't like it, decide. Pull it up, watch it, and say, hey, out of those 25, I actually only saw 23 that were pressures. All right, cool. Then you got your own number. Then you actually went back and saw it all happen.
Yeah, definitely. Badger Trio with the super chat says we are 6-3 with the youngest NFL team. Can't complain. See, that's how I'm feeling, Emilio. I don't know you had time to sleep on it, but I'm waking up this morning going, all right, we're 6-3. We're in the playoffs right now. Matter of fact, I've got a screen grab here for you guys. That was tweeted out. I don't know who tweeted it out. I think that's what Pro Football Network is what it looks like, the logo up there. But the Packers have a 76.3% chance of making the playoffs as they sit right now. So, again, 6-3. we're right in that wheelhouse. I talked about going in the year 11 to 13 wins was my prediction based off the schedule, based off the roster. Right now, it's looking like it's probably going to be about 12 wins. Now, you may lose one you wasn't supposed to win. You may win one you wasn't supposed to, or you were supposed to lose. Or they might win out. They might drop every other game. But the way it sits right now, I'm kind of feeling like 12 wins. How are you feeling about that, Amelia? I've got the rest of the schedule here, too, if I can pull it up.
I was going to pull off that comment real quick just to see.
Yeah, go ahead, man. You're good.
With Bears coming up, and can you pull up that percentages again real quick?
Yeah,
so when I was looking at it, the Eagles, they won, right? They're kind of in the same spot. We're fighting for them with a position. The Vikings won. So if we had won, we'd be sitting somewhere between 85 and 90%, I would think. Am I mad that we're only at 76? No, because it's a crazy division. I was talking to my dad this morning. He's a Cowboys fan. It's like he's like, yeah, it's just a bad season. It's basically over for us. It's like the only chance they have is to go win the division, right? They'd have to chase us, the Vikings, and the Eagles, who are already chasing Washington. So it's the NFC is packed. You're either in it or you're not, basically, at this point, feels like. And I think those chances are definitely fair for us. Like you said, we're going to be we're rooting for the Chiefs, even though we don't want to, but we don't need all that extra help. Give it to the Falcons, or let the South figure it out. But I don't think it's a bad number.
Yeah, so if the Bucks lose tonight, obviously that 54.8% is going to go down again. And going into this past weekend, I was looking for the updated numbers. I haven't gotten them yet.
Yep.
Going into this past weekend, Packers are sitting in the 5 seed with the Vikings winning, Packers losing. Then obviously the Packers will drop, I think, to the 6th seed now. Is that what it is, Amelia?
I want to say we flipped with the Eagles.
That's right, 7th. Yeah.
And we went to 7, and in either Eagles are 5th and Vikings are 6th, or vice versa. But that's the problem, is we're fighting against one in our division and another one who's chasing the 7 and 2, Commanders. So there's not a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah, and if I understood correctly, we've got a 2-win lead on that 7 seed. So
right, exactly.
Got a little bit of cushion there too. And again, you shouldn't even. I shouldn't say you shouldn't, but it doesn't even really matter what other teams do. If you get to 11 wins, you're going to be in the playoffs. That's going to happen. Like I couldn't tell you the last time an 11-win team didn't make the playoffs. Right? You win 12, slam dunk. You're probably not going to be the 7th seed. There's not many teams that finish the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's Venom Slash in the chat. We were the 7th seed last year. I emoji. So yeah. Again, I don't. The fans that are like really, really negative, and I don't want to tell people how to fan. And again, I'm labeled as a positive Packer fan. I wear it with a badge of honor. I'm not going to – I wait for football season all off season long, and when it gets here, I'm not going to be miserable, right?
Yeah.
But it's like going in, the same fans that are pissed off right now are the same fans that were expecting to lose anyway. Now all of a sudden it's just the sky's falling, right? Mm-hmm. And you can't win every game. You just can't. Yeah, would you like to see them win it at home against the Lions? Absolutely. They've been awesome. Yeah. As cocky as the Lions are, but that's it. They get
however bad that taste was in their mouth, obviously they wanted to win it. Obviously it wasn't good enough, but it happens. It's a week-by-week league, and like we said, it wasn't week 18. It wasn't for the playoffs. It's not going to help. Who was it? Greg right here. 0-2 in the NFC North. 100%, dude. That's brutal. We can't be going 0-2 in the NFC North. We lost our first 2 games to our 2 opponents we despise probably the most, right? The Bears are the Bears. But
here's what's crazy about that, Amelia. Think about this. Both those games we lost, Jordan Love threw pick sixes, didn't he? Threw one against the Vikings.
Yeah.
Threw one against the Lions.
Yeah. Yep. And how many pick sixes are you supposed to have in your career?
Exactly. Right. So
I mean, trust me, I don't love it. I really don't. But at this point, we can't time travel. I'm not going back and taking that pass away. That decision was made in the second. We were mad at it in the second, and it's over. I mean, it's a week-to-week league for a reason. We just got to be happy where we're at in the playoff push. I mean, think about it. If the only chance for all of the NFC West to get in is to win their division, San Francisco is struggling. They're fighting against the Rams. They're fighting against the Cardinals. They're fighting against Seattle. They don't have a playoff berth chance at the moment. if we, the Vikings and the Eagles, keep this winning streak up, or at least keep the numbers up, get us to double digits before week 15, I think that there's really something there.
Yeah, it's a good point. Other news that kind of dropped here. Keep an eye on the chat for me if you got anything. I actually got. Let's see, I like this right here. 2-0 for this tonight. I'm a Zebras fan. I love it. Amen. Just make it hard on both teams, but we definitely want the Chiefs to win tonight. No doubt about that. All right, so we got some trade rumors that are kicking up here. And listen, you're going to see the account. You may not like ML football. They tag me in a lot of stuff. They got a huge following. They did quote they did name a source. But this right here came down the pike a few minutes ago. Don't like the picture choice there, to be honest with you. It's strange. But news, the Green Bay Packers are the co-favorites to trade for standout cornerback Greg Newsome II, per at Bovada official. All right. Newsome, a former first-round pick. You can't stop looking now, can you?
No.
Newsome, a former first-round pick, is only 24 years old, has drawn significant interest from 4+ teams. Now, immediately people go, yes, get us some cornerback help. Let's go to PFF. All right, this year, PFF grades by week 78, 63, 51, 52, 57, 29, 63, 44, 74.5. His defensive grade is a 52.3. Not that good, bub. Not that good.
How dare you?
When you go back, since he got in the league, right, 2021, starting that year by year here, 68.1, 69.1, 69.6, 52.3. Those numbers would suggest he's going to play better ball in the second half of the season. Would I hate it? It depends on the compensation, right? Like, you would get a veteran who's got 4 years experience or 3.5 years experience. He's 6'1", 192, pretty decent size there, former first-round pick. My problem here, you're in the last year of the contract, so it might not necessarily be anything long-term, but let's say it's a 6th-round pick. Would you be willing to trade a 6th-round pick? Everybody in the chat, let me know. Would you be willing to pay a 6th-round pick for Greg Newsome? Okay, now people go, okay, it's the last year of his contract. Why would you do that? Blah, blah, blah. First of all, it'd be a 6th-round pick. It's funny, too. I was thinking I was going to go, no, I'm not interested. But if the compensation's right, obviously, here's how it worked. Let's say you do give a 6th-round pick for him. You play out this year. You don't sign him back because let's say that he didn't play that well. You don't want him back. Chances are he's going to get signed in free agency. You're going to get a 6th-round comp pick back. So you're really renting him for nothing overall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And who knows? He might be the spark that you need. Like last night with the corners, Nixon struggled, especially on that touchdown catch. I believe it was on 3rd down, too, if I remember correctly. Remember the touchdown catch that St. Brown made? That's actually 4th and goal.
Yeah, so, yeah, Keyshawn
just didn't get his head back around. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, does Greg Newsome make that play? Maybe. I don't know. Is he even on that receiver? I don't know. But as it sits right now, this is what it would be. Greg Newsome would leapfrog Eric Stokes and Carrington Valentine on the outside, right? You probably move Keyshawn to the slot, and you'd have Jair and Newsome on the outside, Keyshawn in the slot, leave Evan Williams at safety once he gets healthy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
How do you feel about it, Emilio? Trading for him. What would you be willing to give up? That's what I'm asking.
We willing to give up, I mean, maybe a 7th, like you said, or 6th. Where do you say 6th? Besides that, though, I honestly would be happier with just it's a progress stopper. He's not 1,000%. Or I mean, we're taking Bullard off the field. Evan Williams is going to be stuck at safety, or Bull's not going to get reps. Keyshawn's going to go back into the slot, where a lot of people last year didn't like Keyshawn in the slot, and they're not mad at Keyshawn right now playing outside a lot. So it's like we're playing musical chairs in the back end, where would we give up 17 points as a defense? And it's not, I mean, it wasn't, they were bending, not breaking. They gave up 150 passing yards, something like that. It's not terrible. They're not in bad shape. And I really do think Hafley's getting them, growing them together. Mm-hmm. It's with Ja out there, Keyshawn on the other side. I'd rather have Bull in the slot. If you're telling me Ja's not going to come back, or we're always going to have a corner rotating, then yeah, I'd give this guy maybe a 7th to bring him over. But that's about it.
Got it. So you give up a 7th round pick. I'd be willing to go 6th round just because the comp return. But again, I don't think it'll happen. I really don't.
Right.
The Packers are in every talk. You guys probably heard Andrew Brandt talk about it earlier this season. He said, when I was in Green Bay, we would have representatives call us and say, hey, can we mention you guys as interested? And Andrew Brandt would say, to drive up the cost for another team? Sure. Yeah. Mention that we're interested, even though they weren't. So you get a lot of that. I'm not saying that they're going to trade for Greg Newsome. It's just, like I said, it got tagged in a tweet. It got brought up. I wanted to see how everybody felt about it. We'll get back to the chat and see how everyone feels about that. What would you be willing to give up for Greg Newsome, former first-round pick? Mike Hebring with the super chat. Good to see you, buddy. He says, I think it might be time to start thinking about maybe Jordan's second half of last year was the outlier, not the first half of the last 2 years. First half of the last 2 years, yeah, meaning this year and last year.
You're right.
Listen,
so trouble in the first half.
Yeah, Mike, Bob, I can't argue with that. Like, he played like the best quarterback in the league the second half of last year, right? And the first half of last year, he played like one of the worst. So far this year, I want to say minus the interceptions, but hell, that's the problem. You can't just say, oh, forget the interception. You know what I mean? It is an issue. Yeah, I don't think that's an unreasonable commentary. I don't. Now, am I belling on Love? Absolutely not. Let's see how he finishes the season. Obviously, you're stuck now. And my argument earlier this offseason was, if you think he's the guy, you got to pay him. You can't, the longer they waited, they could have got Jared Goff's deal. Instead, they ended up getting an inflated deal because they waited on it. It's obvious that Goody thinks he's the guy, right? Time will tell if he actually is. But what do you think about that? You think that's a fair assessment, or do you disagree there, man?
No, I mean, I think it's fair, at least to start thinking about it, that, there's a chance. Obviously, I hope that he's great and is going to be great for a long time. But I think it's fair that you could at least say, hey, was that second half the outlier? What is different this first half, or what's the same maybe this first half and last year's first half that, that he's chasing or that he's trying to do? I think that, yeah, it's a problem that he keeps trying to get it all in one play. He doesn't need to. There's more time in the game. You got another down. It was the second quarter, all that. So I don't think that's out of line, definitely. Yeah. But
again, I'm not saying I agree with it, Mike, but I don't think it's, like I said, a crazy comment. I don't. I don't like belling on people, right? Like, I don't like.
No, yeah, and I'm the same way. I've given the 3-4 years of their contract before we decide to ship the kid, right? I mean,
right.
That's where I'm at. So,
and for me, it's like 2 years. If you go through this season, he struggles. Next year, if you get, let's say,
on a paid commodity, 2 years. So, like, you just paid Jordan. All right, after you got your payment, you get 2 years to show up. If not, that's what you're saying. Or like on a rookie, you want 2 years.
It's basically the way the contract's structured is. It gets a lot easier to get out from under that contract after the second year. So keep in mind, not next year, but the year after that.
Yeah.
Right. So you're kind of, I don't want to say stuck with it. And again, this is assuming Jordan doesn't pan out. Right. We're not saying that. There's going to be somebody in the mentions going, I can't believe you want to get rid of Jordan Love. Nobody is saying that. Mike might be saying that, but I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I don't understand the people that get upset when people mention it. Like, it's just like Carson Wentz didn't happen, right? Like, that was the one where they extended Carson Wentz and he just fell off the cliff, right? There's numerous quarterbacks you can think of, and you can pull them up, I'm sure, and talk about, hey, here's a player where they thought, yeah, he's the guy, and he just ended up not being the guy. Mistakes are made. That's the way it is. So, but thank you for the super chat, Mike. We appreciate you, buddy. Let's see here. Real quick, I want to get some answers to the question. Andres in the chat says, conditional 6th-round pick. I like it. Jason Y said, yes, worth it for a 6th-rounder with the comp pick coming back. Pretty much where my stance was there. Chris N says, yes, all caps for the 6. We need cornerback depth. Can't agree with that. And then Jason Y said, sophomore slump for Jordan. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be some people, Jason, that say, it's not a sophomore year.
Yeah.
Guys, it's a second-year start. Like, it's totally different when you're actually out there on the field, right? So, but
Jason was wondering why would Cleveland trade him if they can get a comp pick themselves? Sometimes that's just management. Wasn't Lombardi talking about that the other day? Is why would you get rid of a player that could give you that comp pick just for that short term the short-term benefit type thing.
Right.
Or you could carry their salary even.
Unless, of course, it's a conditional, like they were saying, right?
Right. Yep.
Like, okay, in free agency, he might just warrant a 6th-round pick, but if you make it conditional, if he plays 80% of the remaining snaps of the season, then that goes to a 4th-round pick or something like that, right? That's the only thing I could think of. And I heard the same podcast, and I think he was spot on with it. So, yeah, it's a good question there, Jason. Also in the chat, Ron Samuel says, Mahomes just said that it's the wrong time of the year to be playing our best. Time to build now for the playoffs. Man, that's interesting. I think it's a real thing, though. I really do, man. It's most times it's what team gets hot at the end of the year. It really is. I mean, Packers 2010. Go watch that tape. See Jason Y in the chat. Why is it? Man, I got pterodactyls in here tonight, Yo. It's warm up. Killed me, bro. Jason Y says, why does it seem like we are worse in penalties this year than last year? I'd have to go look at it to see. I don't necessarily feel like it's worse this year. I remember last year. Am I wrong, Emilio? Last year was pretty bad too, wasn't it?
I think the fact of the consistently, I think we had a few really bad games last year. I think this year there's been way too many repeatedly. Like we've been +5. I'd have to pull the numbers, but it's almost pushing double digit, it seems like, per game on penalties. And that's just, I mean, they need to be running sprints for it. And do you think that's on Matt? I'm not sure. Do you think it's on the coach? Do you think it's on the position coaches? Do you put it just on the players? You put it just on Sean Ryan? You put it just on TJ Slayton for jumping off sides, or the holds, or what? How can you look at that and just put it on one person and not the whole unit?
Right. Yeah. No, it's a good point. And again, I don't necessarily look up and go, yeah, we're worse at penalties this year than last year. It could be the case, and it might not even be close. For me, it's more about, like you said, it happens in such spurts. Like you'll get 2 or 3 penalties on a drive, and you couple that with 2 bad snaps back to back. Granted, It was in the rain, but Ragnow had no problem snapping the ball, did he? So that's something that, I don't think it's worse this year, Jason. At least it doesn't feel like it to me. But definitely playing a role in the losses.
From a quick search, don't quote me on this, but right now they have 2024. We're sitting at 24th ranked with 7.3 per game. Last 3 we've had 7 per game. Last one we had 10. At home we're at 7.4, away 7.3. Last year we were 5.9.
Okay,
now,
so
obviously, but still a bigger sample size for the rest of the year, obviously. But yes, currently right now we're averaging 1.5 more than we were last year, penalty and a half more per game than last year.
So to answer your question, Jason, why does it seem like we're worse in penalties this year than last year? Because we are, right? Pretty much it. That checks out. So Coach Lynn says, for Chalk Talk, we should show the lowlights. I saw some really bad technique by guys on both sides of the ball. There's going to be some lowlights in it. Now, listen, there's going to be explosive plays for the Packers too, because nobody wants to tune in. See, Coach Lynn is a coach. He's looking at it. I got excited to watch the tape today because I wanted to understand, like, what the hell happened, right? How did it get so bad so quick, type thing? And I know he looks at it the same way. The problem, though, Coach, is a lot of our viewers don't want to tune in to see the Packers suck. You know what I mean? Like, you want to bury the game ball, move on, and move on to the next week. But there will be some lowlights. We're going to show what happened and why did it happen. Why did the Packers lose the game? That's what we're going to talk about. And we got 16 plays. So really, really tried to dig in and find some of those plays that was like, because there are some good plays for the Packers too. Jaden Reed had a hell of a game. I think he was the highest graded player according to PFF with a minimum of 25 snaps. So that was impressive. He seemed to be kind of back to form from last year, but it'll be a fun Chalk Talk episode for sure, man. We'll make it enjoyable. United Bates, Ja has not played in 30 of his 77 regular season games. I think it's like 39%. Man, that's pretty wild. Like we broke down, it was the last 32 games he's missed. Half of his games.
Half out of the last 32.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. Bates, what I'm learning within the fan base too is there's a portion of the fan base you are not allowed to say anything negative about Jair Alexander. It just can't happen. Like Rashawn Gary, everybody's like, have at it. Let's put all the blame on him. But Ja, it's like, you're not allowed to touch Jair Alexander. But that availability and accountability is huge. Last year, he was not accountable. He was breaking off his assignment, right? We showed it time and time again. The entire defense would be playing zone or would be playing man, and he would just let his guy take off running. He just kind of sit in the zone. Like, I don't feel like covering him right now. You guys take him. That's accountability. Availability, obviously we talked about, he's missed 50% of the games, 50% of the last 32 games. So, it's tough, man. It is. And again, that's money you spent. And that's where sometimes GMs can get in trouble too, overpaying for their own guys. I'll tell you someone that nobody's talking about. We talked about him going into the offseason. I said, don't extend him. Let him test free agency. And that was Kenny Clark. And guys, Kenny it's not good. Everybody expected him in this defense to just blow up. Remember we had our predictions? I've got them wrote down here. Remember when we did that? Somebody asked.
Oh, yeah.
So I predicted, what was it? I'm trying to think of, let's see, a PFF rate of 77. All right. 45 tackles and 9.5 sacks. Okay. You predicted 8.5 sacks, 55 tackles, and a PFF grade of 78. Tim said 10.5 sacks, 45 tackles, 80 PFF grade, and Jacob said a 10 plus sacks, 40 tackles, and a 75 PFF grade. He is not tracking that.
I was waiting for it,
bro. It's
that one is not looking good.
Not at all. And Joe Barry fell on the sword for a lot of stuff, and that was one of them right at the top. Is wait till Kenny Clark gets away from Joe Barry and much he's going to blow up. He's going to. Former players all offseason were like, "I'll talk to Kenny Clark. This guy, this one gap approach and blah." And it's like, you guys played football. You know they're not playing one gap every snap. You know that. And their base 34 jam, absolutely. But Kenny's one. It's like now GMs, they like to re-sign their own guys because it says we hit that one. Look at what we paid him, right?
Yeah.
I think there might be a little bit of that. I don't know. Hopefully he blows up in the second half of the season because he typically does play better in the second half. He's a leader, don't get me wrong. One of those guys you want in the locker room. But, man, for the money they're paying him, like I said, people like to pile on Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary's leading the team in pressures, and it's not even close. I think he's up to 28 pressures now, and there's no one. I don't think there's anybody within 10 pressures of him. But nobody's talking about Kenny Clark, who's, last I checked, he was the highest paid interior defensive lineman, depending on what, aspect of the contract you look at. But
yeah, anyway, the chart there. I'm sorry, the chat's been chat's going off about Kenny too.
Oh, are they roasting me over it?
No. Just so Greg, don't understand Clark's lack of production. Nate Dogg thinks it's Kenny's last year. Respect Oranges. Forgot Kenny was on the team. So we should have
just talked PFF grades, man. I'm just sitting
right. Yeah.
Now here, the whole thing. There was one comment. What was the second comment you pulled up just now?
That was definitely Clark's last year in Green Bay.
I don't see that because didn't they give him a 3-year extension, right? Mm-hmm. Or is it just 2?
Yep.
So again, 3-year extensions are typically 2 years, then you can get out, right?
TC fan, I have a soft spot for Kenny. Ted's the last great pick.
Oh man, that's a good point.
And then Eric Sutherland going off.
You can't put it up, can you?
No, yeah, we can. He said Clark should be arrested for theft.
Damn it, Eric. What's wrong with you, man?
Eric, you're killing us, man.
Unbelievable. Let's move on here. Respect Oranges got over the loss pretty quick. On to beating the Bears. Amen. I love that. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Ron Sample, both losses were without Ja as well. Yeah. And
Lions Vikings he's talking, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the biggest, those are the big games, bub. That's not a good thing for Ja right there. If Ron, if you're looking at it see how bad we are without Jair, that's not a good thing when your highest paid cornerback in the league is missing the biggest games.
Yeah.
It looks a little sus. I'm not going to BS anybody. It looks a little sus to me.
You wouldn't be happy. You wouldn't be happy if your partner took off on a 35-day mow day, right?
No,
you know what I'm
all
saying?
Of a sudden, man, my hammy a little tight.
I can't be on the walk behind for 8 hours today.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's faking injuries. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it sucks that he's missing the biggest game.
Yes.
Right? So, For those of you listening on the pod, that's going to do it for hour 1. We will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all.
Just here to tell you, Pack is back.
Yes, we are.
Damn,
I want Ja to pan out because he's so
I forgot
damn
to link
hard.
him up. Tim's so good, man.
He's a soundbite machine. Like, we need him on the team for that. But man, yeah, it is what it is. Harry Cheese in the chat. Our biggest issues are drops by these damn wide receivers. We are what third most drops in the league and still have a 6-3 record. It's a great point. They start catching the football. If they caught the football last night, even with the pick 6, you're looking up at the end of the game there because obviously Wicks dropped the touchdown, right? So if he catches that touchdown, you're looking up at the end of the night and it's a 1-score game, right?
Yeah.
So
I'd say during the bye week, put the sprinklers out on Ray Nitschke and just have him practice in some wet conditions. Stress him a little. If we got a little time off, make him practice, go run some routes, catch those types of things. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Randy Cleaver says Jordan is just pressed and needs to relax. I completely agree. Like and that's the thing. Some of the throws he made last night were dime pieces, man. That little shot play down the sideline to Reed, couldn't have thrown it any better. The crosser to Reed, he had Watson deep. I love the fact that Watson had a 2-step lead on him, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to take the more sure throw here underneath the Reed on the crosser, cash in on it. He did some good things. If you remove the pick 6 last night, you're looking up going, Jordan did everything he was supposed to do, But problem is the pick 6 happened, and boy, it could not have come at a worse time, right? So let's see here. Antonio Universe, last season the Lions whipped the Pack at home, and the Pack came back and returned the favor. Did the same thing with the Vikings, right? Went up into Minnesota and beat them on New Year's Eve. So let's hope that repeats itself there. Ron Sample, Jordan last year at this time, 14. Okay, so 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Got it. This year, 15, 10, rough stretch, but not insurmountable. That's a great stat pool there, Ron. Appreciate that. That's a good point, man.
That's it. I mean, that's what we were talking earlier. Bringing it back to is this, or Mike Hevering's question, is it time to start thinking that the second half is the outlier? That's a possibility, but you also look at this stat and say it's also really a possibility that it's not, and he's going to just hammer it around. And it's not like he's that far off the lead. He was chasing. He still hasn't played 2 games, and he's still at 15 and 10. Obviously, we don't like that he had all those extra picks, but all those pick opportunities they've been cashing in on. Like Ryan was pulling the stat or something. Caleb Williams. I mean, half of his throws that are, turnover worthy haven't been caught. Basically, all of Jordan's have. So it's, unlucky at the same time of, no production.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ron, thank you for pulling that. One last comment, then we'll get to the Patreon group here. Brother Parya, Flaming Fire of All right, cool. Can we trade Eric? The YouTube names always crack me up, man. There's some that I'm like, man, this is a long name. Can we trade Eric Stokes for free, guys? Listen, the tape last night on Eric Stokes, that touchdown run, and I understand he had C-gap responsibilities, but boy, he wanted none of that smoke. If that coaching staff looks at that tape, and listen, again, it wasn't his gap responsibility, but it was just like, I'm going to stay over here. Okay, touch me. Like, bro, I'm looking at that tape going, get your ass off the field. Like, if you're not willing to tackle, you're not willing to stick your nose in there when the division's on the line. Nice guy, but man, that's tough look. So, all right, Patreon group questions. We'll rattle through these real quick. Appreciate everybody. If you want to join our Patreon community, scan the QR code in the upper right. It'll send you to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. We've got a bunch of different chats in there. Questions for the show. Obviously, if you got a question for the show, we'll treat it just like a super chat. We try to get to these at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. So Sandy Lane Packer, a.k.a. Fractal of God, says, why do we never see Coach Campanelli on the Packers YouTube channel pressers? The position coaches don't talk very often at all, right? Obviously, Matt LaFleur speaks just about on a daily basis. The coordinators, I want to say, are a couple times a week. Position coaches, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, right?
Right. I mean, you barely get Hafley on there. I mean, you see, I feel like we've only seen Hafley 3 or 4 times, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like
there should be an outline somewhere, I'm sure, like a blueprint online where it talks about.
Same with Rich. You don't see Bisaccia a bunch. I mean, once before a big week, I feel like you get kind of all the coordinators out there. Then the rest of the time, they're kind of on a rotation of, let's grab one, grab the D or grab an O coordinator, or whatever, and go with it from there.
Yeah. Let me write this down real quick so I don't forget what we talked about. So I ain't got to get chewed out by the listeners. You know what I mean? They keep me. Let's see. So next question here. This was before the game, and I didn't get to it in time. I apologize, Jake. How do you think Hafley is going to approach this game? Goff is 100% the least mobile quarterback that we face. However, you have without a doubt the best running back tandem in the NFL at the moment back there with him. Now that hindsight's 2020, I think they're going to run stunt. So there you go. That's how they're going to approach it. I do know this: when they did bring 4, when Gary got the sack, that was a pin your ears back, go get them straight rush.
Yeah.
And boy, him and now listen, everybody's looking at Mosby like, man, did you see the sack? Last week I got roasted. You can't count the Rashawn Gary sack because the tackle fell down. Well, Mosby's tackle tripped over his guard's leg, and that's how Mosby got to the quarterback. So obviously Gary bull rushed the left tackle, just walked him right back in to Jared Goff's lap. But I think you've seen less stunning. You definitely seen less blitzing, although the touchdown run that they got, I can't remember. I think it was it earlier or later in the game?
Montgomery ran it. Was like a 20-yarder or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't the I think it was Gibbs, I believe, on the 4th and 1, the Gibbs touchdown run from the 15-yard line.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's the one
where they stunted.
They tried to do like a twist. Here's the thing: I didn't put twist on Chalk Talk because to me it looked like Preston Smith thought that he was stunning inside, and everyone else expected him to hold that gap, to hold that edge, right?
Yeah.
And then I think it was Cooper blitzed almost like they were running a twist with the safety, Xavier McKinney blitzing too.
Yeah.
And when he did it, it's like X stayed on his outside shoulder, so they went to the same gap, left everything wide open. It was like,
oh yeah, you're talking about that one. Okay, yep. Yeah, and we ran that play earlier in the game too, bringing X down on the safety blitz. But I thought I was talking about another one I'm pretty sure I saw where the 2 tackles twisted or stunted inside, and they kind of got the looping one got hung up coming around, and there was just you could take a golf cart through that thing, no problem. I mean, it was bad.
And that was a play too where Quay, like in my notes, and you'll see it on Chalk Talk, Quay's got the edge. They're actually mugging the mock. When I say mugging, not mugging, they got the mock in a 7-tech, so he's on the line almost like a traditional Sam Backer would be, Ball snap, he locks up with the tackle and doesn't even move. It's just like he's just kind of like, I'm just going to hold this tackle. Listen, Quay's in the doghouse with me big time, man. I said it last year, and I kept saying, man, I hope he gets it together. It's bad. It is really, really bad. Like when he's on the field, he does not attack the football. McDuffie attacked the hell out of the football. Wilson might make a mistake. He's attacking the football. We know Edgerrin Cooper's attacking the football. Quay's out there, and it's just like, you get the start, stop, shoot. His is a start, stop, wait, shoot. It's like the lineman's on him, and now he's engaged, and he's getting pressed back. It's tough, man. Am I being too hard on Quay, man?
No.
You're seeing the same thing. You're watching the game, right? Like,
yeah.
When you watch Quay Walker play on the tape, what do you come away? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Not ideal. I want his speed and need his speed out there. Yeah. But he gets hung up a lot. I think he's still trying to do too much, maybe mentally or something, or I don't know, because I know we're not happy with it, but also if we had McDuffie out there for 67 snaps or whatever, we wouldn't be happy with that. Or, Eric Wilson. Yeah. He played good for 2 games. This game, he was the lowest defender.
Yeah. It's tough, man.
He was playing Will or Sam or whatever, but still, you put him in a different area, he's still on the field. You still expect him to play up to kind of where he was, being 88 ranked and, top 10 linebacker in the league, all those things. That's where, I don't know, that's where I get hung up on it. I want Quay's speed and I want him on the field, but I think that if we don't hammer something out by the end of this year, maybe we take a pull on another linebacker.
Yeah, and like Drew D says, when I watch Quay, the running back gets to the line of scrimmage before Quay even reacts. I cannot disagree with that. I can't.
Yeah,
Now,
we need more anticipatory for sure.
absolutely. And Cooper, there's no hesitation. Same thing with Wilson. It's just like,
But what I think is like, all right, well, if Cooper is able to be that jumpy and McDuffie's able to jump that much, is it because Quay sits back for half a second and and makes sure that, all right, let's let the two outside guys eat, or your side backer and nickel, let him go eat, and we'll have one dude back just to keep the explosive from happening. But if that's the case, you can't give up the explosive, or you can't get washed out on the second level. Right. If you're going to be that safety net, I can't have you, getting worked on 5 yards down the field.
Yeah, definitely. Romero in the chat is Quay really an inside linebacker? Here's the thing: you've seen him on a Tampa 2. It actually makes chalk talk. They hit on a dig. That's how you beat Tampa 2. Walk the mock out with the 3, and then run a dig with the 1 or the 2. Clears things out. Open for the big gain or the explosive play. I think it might have been the St. Brown, I believe. But that Tampa 2 stride for stride down the seam. That's what Quay does well. Yeah. Is covering that deep seam route. He's got the height, he's got the athleticism. But Bub, if you're going to be a mock backer in this league, you're going to have to do more than just cover the seam, man. You have to do more than cover the seam. So back to the Patreon group here. Damon Redwine says, is it time for LaFleur to stop taking the ball first? We've had the ball first 8 times this year, and we have 4 punts, 1 interception, 2 field goals, and a touchdown to show for it. I talked about this at the top of the show, Emilio. I don't know how you feel. I'm always team deferred. That's always been me. The thought process behind the coach, choosing to take the ball first is typically the team that scores first. More times than not, it's more than a 50% chance of winning the game if you score first. I think that's the mindset behind it, but I'd much rather manage the clock and try to double dip there at the end of the half and then at the beginning of the next one. What do you think about that?
I love the double dip. And two, if you have confidence in your defense, if you're happy with what Hafley's doing, put them out there first. If they go down and score, all right, cool. We know we got to put a touchdown up. You're good. You were going to try to put a touchdown up anyway. But if you hold them, if you stop them, then we're off to the races. Then it's a whole new game. Yeah, I definitely think I hope that he has a sit down over the bye and he looks at a lot of this stuff too. What have we been doing this first half of the year that hasn't worked? I'd like to see I'd like to run back and see what we did last year. Was it sort of a pre-bye or halfway through the season thing? Did he change, or has it just been this year where he just wants to take the ball all the time? I can't even remember what we did last year.
Yeah, it sounds like he's the only coach in the league that's choosing to take the ball when you hear people talk about it. I don't know how many actually take the ball first, but I've always been team defer. I got that from McCarthy. McCarthy was big on team defer, and I really like it. Yep. On Madden, what I'm choosing, Emilio, you ready for this? Always make sure you got the wind at your back for the fourth quarter. That's the main priority. And typically what they'll do is take the ball, and then you get the ball after halftime, and you get the wind at your back in the fourth quarter. That's the most important thing. So,
yep. That gets changed in the settings first thing. I'm kicking every time I can and defer with the wind, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hilarious, man. Anyway, Fractal of God, is Jay Love the franchise quarterback? I'm still not convinced. Sorry. No reason to apologize. We kind of talked about it at the top of the show here. Am I convinced Jordan Love is a franchise quarterback? Right now, I'd say I'm about 75% convinced. If that second half goes like the first half, I'm back to 50, plain and simple. You got to be real about it.
Do you go up to 100 if his second half is like last year's second half?
Maybe not 100, but
you'd be happy?
Probably in the 90s. Yeah.
And then what? Then moving into next year, what do we need to see out of him coming into that?
Three quarters of a good year. Let's just build off of it.
Let's just inch towards it. We don't need a full good year yet. We'll take 3 quarters.
Because quarterbacks are hard to find, man. Again, you can't just poo-poo what he did the second half of the season, right? Mm-hmm.
But how he carries himself, how he walks. I mean, he's on the sideline. I mean, looking up at the board, and just trust me, I do that all the time. You throw a pick, and you throw a pick on the game, man. I'm spiking the controller. But for him to keep his cool when thousands of people are watching him, that's big. I know he learned seeing that from Aaron and stuff, but everything that he has is everything you want in a quarterback. The way he carries himself, the way he talks, the way he acts. We just, like you said, need to see it all come together. let's shoot for 3/4 of a season next year. I think that's a good idea.
All right. Let's see here. Trevor Anderson, not a question, but proposing we call it the Craft Keeper. All right. Not a bad one. We had Robert text me. Robert is a loyal listener, been listening to the show for a while. What he said, we should call it the Tucker Craft Cheese Squeeze. I'm digging it, bro. What do you think, Amelia?
Cheese squeeze?
Cheese Squeeze.
I kind of like that, actually.
I think that's the winner. I don't think that the Craft Keeper's bad. I don't. But the Cheese Squeeze, I think, is what we should call it. I'm going to create it on Twitter, create a video, and say, what do you guys think about it? And I'm sure everybody goes, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So the way it works on Twitter. Trevor Anderson, how frustrating is it that every week Jordan is playing for his perception? We are acting like the media portrays us as spoiled quarterback Packer fans. He plays good and everyone loves him. He has one bad game in a game full of wide receiver drops, and half the fan base wants him gone. It's exhausting, and let's get behind our quarterback who has shown a lot. Not saying there doesn't need to be improvement, but let's stop acting like he's not a good quarterback. Those are strong words, Trevor. Again, I'm not ready to cut bait, but I just can't subscribe to the whole people need to stop judging him because he's throwing pick sixes. Like it's the killer. Pick sixes are a killer.
Yep.
In that situation, and I partial blame to Matt for being
turnover differential and points off turnovers in one play.
One play. And it wasn't even like a take a shot. Let's throw it up there, right? Because the pressure did.
Yeah, it wasn't a punt. It wasn't a fake punt, right?
Right. Once the pressure gets to you, the protection, whatever it is, you got to know we're throwing that thing away. We are throwing that thing away. You can't fade to your right and try to lob it into us. Guys, there was multiple blue jerseys right there. Multiple. And maybe he thought he could get it over their head, and it was just, regardless, you can't. You just can't do it.
And if you know you're not 100 or you can't run like you're 100%, you gotta take those mental notes and say, all right, if my clock's 4 seconds to start scrambling, it needs to be 3.5, and I need to get rid of it by 4.5, kind of thing. You need to reel yourself in, and hopefully, Love sits back and goes, all right, this is not the same thing that happened in San Fran, but he was playing like it was the end of the San Fran game. Or that type of mentality we don't need on every 2-minute drive scenario kind of thing.
Yeah.
Definitely. And going back to the ball first thing, I found an article, CBS Sports, back in January of 24. So it said, the interesting thing is Green Bay got the ball first by choice, opting to receive the opening kickoff rather than deferring to the second half after winning the toss. According to Packers' official website, head coach Matt LaFleur has opted to defer each of the first 39 times the team won the toss during his tenure. But starting back on Thanksgiving, when Green Bay went down into Detroit and surprisingly smoked the Lions, the team has instead elected to take the ball.
So they did it on Thanksgiving Day, and since then they've elected to take the ball.
Right. Yep.
Wow. He's sticking with his guns.
Yeah. Yep. And Steno was saying, Steno said here, I think the guys just fed off it, choosing to receive the confidence the coaches have in the players, their excitement to get the ball, get going. Anytime you can start fast, get 7 points on the board in that first drive, I think it sets the tone for the entire game, which is 100% true. But when you don't get it, it's also the same, the opposite way. Is that one you're already down a possession if you don't put points on it there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, last one here. Fractal of God says Quay Walker. Actually, Randy Cleaver says Quay Walker ? We kind of hit on Quay pretty extensively there. Let's see. Fractal of God says I'm not calling for him to be gone. I'm calling for him to be much better when he plays. When he plays well, he gets credit. When he plays badly, he gets criticism. Funny how that works. Let's not pretend that all is well with Jay Love this season. Let's keep it real and call it as it is. I hope that he irons out the mistakes and flourishes. Yesterday wasn't all on him. It's a team game, and the whole team had a down day on the whole, including Matt LaFleur. I think that's a very fair comment there. So, again, thank you to everybody in the Patreon group. Appreciate y'all. Look forward to the questions again later in the week or maybe early next week. If you want to join that, just scan that QR code in the upper right. That'll send you over there, but you can check it out. If you're a member of one of the 3 tiers, you get access to all the chats, as well as you'll be entered into giveaways. It's just a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the show. So we appreciate everybody there. All right, one thing I want to hit on before we get the PFF grades, if we have time, we'll go rapid fire here, Emilio. Matt Schneidman tweeted this out from Matt LaFleur's presser. Matt LaFleur on unsportsmanlike penalties, talking about Nixon, who had one yesterday on the opening kickoff, mind you. I take those very personally. That's on me because I put you in a position to get that. So next time that happens, you can take your helmet and come stand right next to me, and we'll watch the game together. And then Matt Schneidman quote tweeted that, he responded to his own tweet and said, "Let me correct, Nixon putting his finger in Vildor's face on the sideline after the opening kickoff was an unnecessary roughness penalty, not an unsportsmanlike. Nonetheless, Matt LaFleur said penalties you get for, quote, jawing, which essentially is what Nixon did, are unacceptable." Let me tell you something, Emilio. There's nothing that pisses me off more than guys on the field running that mouth. Like, shut up and do your job. But like you're jawing, and Jair does this too. They jaw as if they are just freaking Deion Sanders out there, right? Mm-hmm. I have a problem with it. On the opening kickoff, good return, and in real time, I went, what the heck did he do? He didn't do anything. You watch it back, the guy gets in his face and he takes his finger and pushes on his face mask, like points in his face. And there's Packer fans going, oh, that shouldn't be a penalty. The hell it ain't. Like, it's in the rule book. You can't taunt your opponent, right? Do I like the rule? No, because I like guys scrapping. That's just me. I'm weird like that.
Yeah.
But the rule is the rule, and you killed that opening drive. Now, they went down and got a field goal anyway, but the fact that you would have much better field position because you want to be cocky, like, do it on the freaking field, man. Show us on the field. Stop talking. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, trust me. I love a good smack talk. I will eat that up. Let's, you got to chirp them. You got to get in their head a little bit. And yes, what Nixon did was unacceptable, because if I'm trash talking, it's going to be to the point so I can get you to snap and get the flag.
Right.
But if you're going to trash talk where you start losing your cool and then you snap, that's the issue. What pissed me off was the fact that Keyshawn got tackled out of bounds, then got pushed by, looked like was the long snapper or number 42 or somebody, pushed him like 3 steps out of bounds, almost into the water coolers, and he caught himself. And right there, he should have just, let me see the LeBron James crash your head into the water cooler, knock the cups everywhere. Give me the 15. Like, I need to see that.
See the LeBron
dude,
James.
I want to see you almost end up in the crowd. You know what I mean?
Mahomes.
Yeah. Dude, my guy launched me. And then you wouldn't even need to put your finger in his face. You would have got the extra 15. You imagine that goes right back to that article earlier. All right, that's what gets the team fired up. Then you go down, you're on the 35. All right, Jordan, go down and put 7 on the board in 3 plays, and let's see what the Lions can do.
Yeah,
that's just my take. I think it was shady that he got pushed and the ref didn't call it, but obviously they're not going to see what happened first. So that's where you need to either flop on the push and get the call, or shut your mouth for another 5 minutes and make up for it later on.
Yeah. 2-0 for this. The only time I'm cool with trash talk without backing it up is when Clifford chirps at guys from the side. He's the best.
Yeah.
When you see him mouth the B word to somebody, and it's like a 320-pound, 6'5" defensive lineman, and you see him look at him and let it fly, it's like, Sean, he would break you in half, but I'm digging what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Someone's got to do it.
Exactly. Somebody's got to do it. All right, let's hit the PFF grades. We got 12 minutes before we have to wrap up here. Overall, the Packers grading out as a team 73.1. That's 22nd in the league. Offensively, everything's pretty solid across the board, as you got a 72.6 offensive grade. You have a 73.5 passing grade. You have an 81.9 pass blocking grade. The receiving grade's a 67.5, not horrible, right? 89.9 running grade. These running backs are playing outside of their mind, man. And then defensively, run blocking grade is always low for the Packers. I honestly think PFF doesn't know how to grade them because there's so much going on. Like, there was 2 counter plays that were ran in this game, and it took me forever to realize I'm pretty sure that's a counter play. I'm pretty sure that's count because there's a lot of just, all it takes is PFF not understanding exactly what the play call is, and they're grading the offensive line on run blocking completely wrong. Right. Whether it's a duo, an inside run, an outside run, a counter GT, whatever it may be.
There was either a counter or a power. It was a guard tight end pull. So I mean, there's so much going on in the. I thought it was a guard tackle, but it was Sims that came across. So
yeah, so a 54.5 there on the year. Defensive grade, the Packers are 65.4. Let's see where that ranks now. 65.4 is 19th in the league as it currently sits. 65%. 65%. That's what we had it queued up. 58.8 run defensive grade, 51.4 tackle grade, 64.1 pass rush grade, 72.5 coverage grade. All right. So again, when it comes to defense, basically coverage grade 72.5, and then second is the pass rush grade is 64.1. They're still bad at tackling, still bad at the run fits. So that's how that sits there. Now, when we go to the game we just played, they grade out a 62.7. That would be what? Let's see, 1, 2. That's the third worst graded game of the season, 62.7, if I'm looking at that correctly. Yeah. Offensive grade 65.8, passing grade 79.1, pass blocking 79.6, receiving grade 53.2, hands down the worst receiving grade of the year, rightfully so. Running grade 57.8 for that game. Run blocking 71.7, so they actually gave a pretty good run blocking grade there for the game yesterday. Defensive grade 59.8, and you only give up 17 points. That's wild right there. Probably because the extra defensive penalties bringing that down, I would imagine. 70.8 tackle grade. Pass rush grade 58.9. Coverage grade 59.9. Special teams grade 50.6. When we go to the reports here, let's look at the offensive players. I'm going to get your take. Look who's number one there, Emilio. Can you see that, sir? I'll go full screen to help you, too. Number one, Ben Sims, 83.2. Only 12 snaps, but, man, what a freaking dog. Like, this dude, this is a guy you want to keep around. Look at that run blocking grade, 82.5.
He can block.
82.5. He can block. You're exactly right. You know what? I'm going to do this.
On that guard tight end, I'm telling you, man. He just went in there and crushed that dude.
I'm going to do this real quick since we're talking about it. Let me pull it up. Where's it at? Let's see here. All right. So this is a play that I shared earlier today. I'm going to pull it up on the screen, and we'll get back to the PFF grades because I want y'all to see this. All right. We're going way off cuff. Emilio, if you have to go while we're talking, you can just sign off, man. Let's see here. Let me get this a little bit more zoomed in if I can. All right. So I zoomed in on the play for a reason. So off screen here, they had a tight end motion. They got both the tight ends lined up off screen here, okay? We're going to play it. I want you to watch. Watch Tucker come over, seal the inside, right? Look at Ben Sims, number 89. Watch this. Get down, little boy.
Yep.
Seen that pancake? Look at this. Mm-hmm. Love it. And Tucker Kraft, man, that's on – I'm trying to think of that running back. Anzalone, is that his name? Or that linebacker Anzalone? Yes. It might be Anzalone. I can't remember.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. But again –
Matthews wannabe?
That is – yeah, there you go. That is textbook right there, guys. Tucker Kraft's getting better at run blocking now. The league better watch out. That's all I got to say.
Follow that duo of the Walker and Morgan. Morgan works off, picks up the linebacker crashing in. Perfect. Tuck, as long as you can get to that second level, we got a shot. And our boy Dontavian Wicks came in and cracked the safety. Is that Branch? Cracked him. Got him hung up on Sims, and we're good.
Yeah. It wasn't beautiful from Wicks, but it got the job done.
Oh, right? What are we in pistol? Wow, look at that. Pistol worked.
This is actually a duo play. I may have called this something else. I might have just said zone left. I probably just said 20. What's crazy is it's like, how is this designed here? Because you're actually off the left tackle, but you know that's not where the gap is located. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'd almost say like a 23 dive, 20, 25. Yeah. I mean, it's not even outside that much by the time they walled it all down.
Right. It's like where the original gap was, it would be an A-gap run, but the way they walled it down, that's Matt LaFleur, very, very creative.
And I just love the way Josh dances back there. It's just little quick feet.
So patient, man. So patient. All right, back to PFF grades. Just wanted to hit that because, again, Ben Sims leading the way here. at an 83.2 with that run blocking at 82.5. Next, Emmanuel Wilson, 13 snaps, but a 77.3. Jaden Reed, 77.3 on 44 snaps. You love to see him climbing back up. Rasheed Walker, 73.3 with a pass block grade of 89.4. Zach Tom, 73.3, run blocking grade of 75. I'm sorry, pass blocking 75, run blocking 77.9. Rasheed Walker continues to struggle with run blocking. It is what it is. Jordan Love, 68.3, even with the pick six. So if he hadn't had the pick six, I'm sure he grades out in the 70s, probably mid-70s. Christian Watson, 66.8. Josh Jacobs, 65.3. Tucker Kraft, 64.8. Look at that run block grade, Emilio. 86.7 for Tucker Kraft. Let's freaking go. Jordan Morgan, 62.6. Not bad. So as far as the bad ones, obviously Wicks with the drops, 40.6. Romeo Dobbs, according to PFF, had a bad night, 43.5. Sean Ryan struggled. He had 2 penalties, 51.5. At least one penalty. I think they charted him for 1. I thought he had 2. Chris Brooks, 53.6. Bo Melton, 55.5. Anything you want to add there to the offensive grades, sir?
Tough. I mean, you saw Chris Brooks should have had a better grade, but he dropped that one close on that Texas almost. And then Sean Ryan with the penalties. I'm happy about Jordan Morgan. Obviously, he made the top 10. I'll take it. Elton at center. Pass blocking, I'm glad he kept his number up. Run blocking at a 50. I know we don't do that great. Maybe that's why, we'll see what Josh Myers is at. But, we got to have a little bit more respect for Josh. And what he does is if we can keep it above, 50, 60, 65, we got to be happy with it. Besides that, man, I'm just happy that our tight ends are zeroing in.
Yeah. All right, defensive. Only 19 snaps for Isaiah McDuffie, 89.5 PFF grade. Could not have played better. I mean, run defense grade at 84.1, tackle grade of 79.4. And again, what we talked about with Quay, I mean, Quay's down there at a 50.4. Just struggled, 57 snaps. I'm sorry, man. You got to give somebody else another shot to play Mike. You just got to. The defense plays better when Quay isn't on the field. It sucks to say that. Got the autographed jersey right over here. I paid a lot of money for that jersey. I was excited about Quay Walker. But if you see it, you got to say it. My man is just not – he's not aggressive enough on defense. He's not. Preston Smith, 21 snaps, 72.7. Javon Bullard, I love to see this. 57 snaps, jumped up to a 71.3. You guys know he struggled with coverage this year, 68.6 in this game. So great job there. Aaron Mosby, only 5 snaps, 67.4. Carrington Valentine, 67.2 with 35 snaps. Xavier McKinney, 57 snaps, 65.7 grade, tackle grade at 81.2. Edgerrin Cooper, 64.7. My man he's turning out to have a pretty damn good grade here for his rookie year. Only 38 snaps, right? The thing that sticks out to me too, Emilio, the cornerback snaps. Carrington Valentine got 35?
Yep.
Eric Stokes, 37. So they pretty much split them. Eric Stokes, 59.3. Ugh, man. So let's see. As far as the bad ones, Carl Brooks, only 15 snaps, 32.8. Eric Wilson, 42 snaps, 38.6. So he finally hit the wall there. Kenny Clark, again, 39.7. Just rough. Quay Walker, 50.4. So there's some of your defensive grade.
You mad at Eric Wilson about that grade?
That's the thing. Like, you can't expect him to play elite every week. But, I mean, 62-4, 99-4, 39-2, 41-1, 65-3, 68-7, 82-7, 81-1, 38-6. Like, you're going to come back down to earth sooner or later, right? And you did have that missed tackle. That was a huge missed tackle on that big explosive run on the ground there. So, again, if that continues, I'll be off the hop train with Eric Wilson. But you guys are going to have bad games, right? This is the one.
McDuffie real quick. Oh, I'm sorry.
Let me go. Quay Walker real quick. 59, 40, 35, 68, 58, 49, 76, 50. Like, that is as inconsistent as it freaking gets, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Who'd you want to see? McDuffie, you said?
Yeah, I just wanted to see where he was at.
Yeah, this is his – it seems like this game is an outlier. Hopefully he can build on it, though. His grades per week, 35, 64, 59, 68, 53, 51, 60, 65, and then 89.5 this week. Is that what you wanted to see?
Yeah. I was just trying to see if it had anything to do with his amount of snaps that he's getting. Like his Arizona game, if his tackling was up, would his grade have been better? I don't know. Kind of got cooked on coverage. So I just was wondering where his numbers would be. Just because it seemed like we were in base a lot that game with having him out for 20 plays. I mean, that was probably third of the snaps we were in base. That's pretty good for us. Most of the time we're in nickel.
Yeah, and his snaps did drop significantly, seeing that we did play a lot of base. There was more. You'll notice on Chalk Talk, there's a lot more 4-3 under calls yesterday. You could tell that's the way they wanted to approach it. So I'm thinking that what they seen on tape is they like to run a lot of weak side runs in Detroit. Yep. So they probably played the under, meaning you're shading to the underside, the weak side. So, but the one thing about McDuffie, now that you bring it up here, I know he got less snaps, but he's playing his best football of the year right now. There's no doubt about that, right?
Right, definitely.
589. So it's good to have that depth there, All right, and then let's go to Cooper real quick. What's Cooper looking like on the year? Look at this. Somebody come look at this. 85, 57, 65, 41, 85, 81, 34, 74, 74. PFF grade is 69.6. You guys know we always say if a rookie grades out in the 60s, pretty damn good rookie year. Just, speaking across the board, across the league. So he's creeping up into the 70s now. He's right on the verge of breaking into the 70s as a rookie. Really, really impressive there. Not played perfect, but getting better as time goes on. Javon Bullard, 46, 78, 52, 59, 45, 62, 66, 44, and then a 71. His grade is a 54.7. So that's one you'd look at and go, nah, not that good, bub. Need to grade out in the 60s if you think someone's going to be a great player.
Remember, he's been working two positions. They've been training him both ways, and he's had 4 at slot corner, 3 at slot corner, 2 at strong, and obviously the 4 at free safety could be hit or miss with the strong, but still.
Yeah, the safeties are very interchangeable.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Having them work two positions, slot and safety is more of the take.
Yeah, and it's a fair point. Like at safety, 78.3. He was at safety for his best grade. That was against the Colts, right? So maybe I've been too hard on him.
Yeah, first game of his NFL career was against Philly. Played 76 snaps. All right, not if he didn't get, it was maybe 2 or 3 coverage plays, and his one missed tackle that game, and he probably has a pretty good grade. And it seems like he seems a little bit more comfortable at safety, but he'll do anything for the team by playing in the slot.
Yeah, that's a good point. So his 2 highest grades of the year were at the safety position, right? You got to mention that. You have to. So I feel comfortable saying he's played better at safety than he has in the slot, but he's probably been more consistent in those slot, right? I mean, not really. 45, 62, 66, but he's got some 40s and 50s at safety too. So it's early. I think he'll be a good pro. I don't know if he'll be great, but I think he'll be a good pro. Anybody else you want to see here as far as trying to get a grab? Are they playing better this year? Are they playing worse?
Valentine, why you got it on there? Just get him back.
Carrington Valentine?
Yeah, let's just take a look. Because I know he's not getting a lot of reps.
Right. 63, 65, 51, 66, 67. So he's got a PFF rate of 63.1 this year. Second-year player, 7th-round pick, right?
Yeah.
Let's compare that. Remember 63.1 for me.
Yeah.
And let's go to our boy Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes at a 51.1. Yeah. So Carrington needs to be that he needs to leapfrog Eric Stokes on the depth chart, man. There's no two ways about it. Am I wrong? Am I being too harsh there?
No, I mean you're not, and it's. I feel like it's just gameplay. Carrington shows up a little bit better. What I like about Stokes right now is his tackling. Besides the first game, he had some decent tackling sets there. But it's like you said, when push comes to shove in a divisional game, you didn't stick your nose in there.
No, exactly. All right, let's go back to offense real quick. We'll wrap up. I just want to look at Ben Sims on the year. 68 is his PFF grade currently.
Oh, he is cooking.
Yeah, you see he's getting better, man. Last 4 games, 83, 69, 45, 83. You get that 45 up into the 60s and stay in the upper 70s, lower 80s consistently. That's what I'm talking about. Think of the younger players that we want to see kind of get better this year for the Packers. Let's look at Jordan Love. I haven't even looked at his grade lately. So he's up to a 71.3 now. So when you look at Jordan's grades here, I mean, the interceptions suck. We've talked about it, right? But if you didn't know the statistics and you just went off of grades, 64, 69, 44, 72, 72, 74, 68. He's trending in the right direction, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean,
Just
yeah.
that damn pick six, man. I can't stop thinking of it.
Mhm.
Two of them. Oh. All right.
But honestly, I think we're throwing the ball too much. Like we
Yes.
did not need to. Jordan needs to be sitting at 30, 35 passes. We don't need to break 40 every week.
Yeah. Let's take a look at Jordan Morgan, then we're done, I promise. 67, 48, 49, 57, 71, 62. So he's about to break into that 60 range, right? You love to see that.
Yeah, and I really do like Morgan. I think he's going to be a big asset.
Yeah, I can see that. Sheed, 63.1. Nothing great.
Not mad at Sheed. No, he's been playing pretty decent.
Pass blocking solid, right? I mean, you got got one stinker. Other than that, you've been pretty good, pretty solid. Got
That's all you ask for out of your left tackle. You can run behind your left guard a lot. You don't need to run directly behind the left tackle, especially if your tight end's helping.
And if somebody told me going into that game yesterday, hey, we're going to have 10 penalties, how many does Rashid have? I'd have probably said 2. He didn't have any, right?
Putting him on blast.
I'm just saying, like, I'm being real. He didn't have any. You know?
I know. That's huge. That's so big. If for a 7th-round pick.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That's it, man. We didn't go over, did we?
Yeah. Walk the line.
Anything else, man, you want to hit on?
No, I don't think so. It's not a victory Monday, but glad we got to hammer through some of this stuff, get the chat's take. Like you said, sleep on it, get through it. It was already happened. We can't go back and change it. It's an L in the stat column. Move on, right? We got to learn. We got a lot of tape we got to watch. Team's got a lot of tape. Practice hard. If we got to come out and smack the Bears. So
yeah, and the big thing, first half, again, you kind of throw the second half out, but the first half, you got to stick with the damn run, man. You're running the ball down their throat.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out there trying to get cute on first down. 5 first down passes.
Yes, and if you're worried about if Josh Jacobs is hurt, all right, move on. Emmanuel Wilson was running fine for us earlier in the year.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Just because Jacobs out of there, if anything, when Jacobs goes out, the defense is going to go, okay, their workhorse is out. Keep pounding the freaking rock.
And what I was going to – I would think that it would be on Matt a little bit more just because I don't remember seeing Jordan can a bunch, visually can a lot. He definitely could have, audibly canned out of some stuff, but visually he left the plays as they were. I think Matt just got a little too excited and had confidence in Jordan that he could spin it in the rain, and we just didn't need to the whole time.
Yeah, you thought we were done. Drew asked a question here real quick. I don't understand why Brooks jumped Wilson. Matt has been very outspoken about pass blocking with the running backs over and over. He pulled Josh Jacobs early in the year. You remember that? Because he missed a blocking assignment, and he said it at the presser. Can't have it. This is why they like him right here, Drew. Pass blocking grade, 82-4, 78-3, 74. Like, he is probably the best pass blocking back on the team right now. And again, Matt LaFleur likes him a lot, right? It is what it is. But I'm with you. I would rather see Emmanuel Wilson out there. I'm with you, Drew. But I think that's what he's looking at, to be honest with you. So, All right. That's it, boys. Appreciate y'all. Ladies, gentlemen, thank y'all for hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow for PTA Live Chalk Talk edition. We got 16. Chalk Talk Tuesday, 16 plays to break down. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be some good. There's more bad than good. But we're not going to get in here and just cry over the bad. We're going to try to understand what went wrong and look at it through the team's eyes of, okay, what are they looking at to clean up? Yeah, got plenty of that. Boy, we could have done a whole chalk talk on, was it a penalty? Was it not a penalty? I'm trying to stay away from that whole conversation of, well, it's the officials, they're cheating us, blah, blah, blah. I got you. But to me, the pick six was the killer. It was. And there's no one who's upset about that more than Jordan Love. I promise you that. So, again, it's different if you take the shot. When you just little rinky dink, it's just,
when the 2 pick sixes have happened on dumps behind the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage,
rolling right behind the line of scrimmage inside your own 20, right? Sucks. But anyway, all right, that's it. We're out of here. Appreciate everybody hanging out. We will see you tomorrow for Chalk Talk Tuesday. as always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Look for this guy out there when you're out and about.
I don't listen too much Taylor Swift.
Exactly. Go Pack, go. Appreciate y'all.